Welcome, everyone, to the Preschool Mindfulness Summit of 2019. I'm really excited to introduce to you Karla Cardoza. She works for the Center for Connection, and she is a registered marriage and family therapist and a psychotherapist, and she has a real passion for helping families, children, and young people to better their lives and to incorporate these different strategies into the work that she does. She works very closely with Tina Payne Bryson, and so we're going to have some of her books available on the summit, such as No Drama Discipline and The Yes Brain. She has many, doesn't she? So,
and the Whole Brain Child. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, and the Whole Brain Child. So we'll have the covers of those, and you can find out more about the Center for Connection by following the link. But thank you so much, Karla, for joining us. I'm really looking forward to talking to you today.
Yeah, I'm delighted to be part of this amazing experience. So thank you, Helen.
Thanks. So let's jump right in, and it's a Preschool Mindfulness Summit. So what's your definition of mindfulness, or what does mindfulness mean to you?
Well, mindfulness for me, it's an opportunity, it's a state where I feel is calmness. I feel like it's an opportunity to just look inward, gives us an opportunity to just kind of pay attention also to what's happening internally, what's moving in the body, what's moving in my head, just to remind myself what will be the reason I'm responding or doing certain things. So it's almost like a signal. I think I see it as just to keep it's a little alert that reminds me where to check in with myself, just to practice something different that is not as comfortable sometimes for me to do, but it's an opportunity to learn and to expand, I think, into my learning and my growth.
I love how you describe that. Thank you so much. So tell us a little bit about what mindful parenting might be and what that might look like, being a mindful parent.
Yeah. Well, I think I defined it as also in the way of observing, I think primarily observing how our child is presenting in the moment. I think it's also an opportunity to just take the time and really pay attention to what the child is telling us through their actions, through their behavior. I think the fact that the way I see behavior is signals that something feels unbalanced internally, that something is a little off. It's, sometimes when the light bulbs are kind of going a little bit off. So I feel like in a way, behaviors are similar ways for us as clinicians, as professionals, as parents, to pay attention to what might be happening underneath. Because oftentimes we just want to put a little Band-Aid to what's happening or extinguish it sometimes in the moment, or just do a little quick fix thing. But being a mindful parent or provider, it's an opportunity to just observe a little bit more in detail and see what else might be happening that we need to pay attention to be able to respond more effectively.
Yeah, I love that, because I think it's so true. We often just want the problem to go away right now, and there's always something else going on, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's go into some kind of nitty gritty for all the teachers, preschool teachers, and parents watching today. So if one of the children in your class or your own child is kind of having a temper tantrum, how can you yourself stay calm during that process? And do you have any tips on kind of how to manage that situation?
Yeah, and I think all of us have been in a situation like that, probably even on a daily basis, right? Where I think one important piece is just checking really quickly to what's happening in me. Oftentimes I kind of feel it immediately, like on my chest. like there's something either pressuring or like just moving, beating fast. So I think in those moments, I think it will be important to just kind of take a really deep, long inhale and just sigh it out. And it's almost like I feel like that's an opportunity to kind of feel my emotional container, feel myself with an emotional bandwidth, I guess, to be able to help the child navigate through this tough situation. But I think it's also for me as an adult, as a parent, to be able to know that, okay, I know this feels like a big storm right now. The storm is going to cool off. We're going to get through this. And right now it may be really tough to go and back and forth to be able to release. And I think ultimately it's just really letting the kid know that we're there. Oftentimes the child might be pushing you away or like, go away, or might throw things at you. So sometimes we might see it as, well, they don't love me or they don't want me here. So there's something more deep that's actually happening. And it's a little more difficult for the kid to really say, yeah, I'm really having a bad day. I think it's just really letting the child know that we are there for them. And I think reminding them through your voice. I think it's important to utilize our voice in a soothing manner. And I think just as we get to know the kid a little bit more, or our child, because we're still learning from our kids on a daily basis, it's just really kind of maintaining the tone of voice, I think really soothing, really comforting, and reminding them sometimes that, okay, if they want to throw something, okay, let's throw the pillows. Okay, let me pound on the floor. And I think for me, it's just really meeting them at their level. Because oftentimes we might apply a particular tool, but maybe in the moment it seems maybe a little bit more than what the kid can understand. So if we actually meet them where they're at in the moment and really connect with them at that emotional, raw, primary feeling, that's where we're going to be kind of going into this dance a little bit more. So then we can apply some of the other strategies to be more logical per se, or then use something else that could tell them, well, because you did this, then this is going to happen, right? So I think using the body quite a bit, because we like to move. A lot of the kids love to move, love to play. So I think is utilizing that just to get some of the fuel out and letting them know it's okay. Yes, you have such an intense emotion and I'm here so that we can handle it together.
Yeah, beautiful. I think kids really need to hear, right, that we're all on the same side and it's not us against them in those moments. So can you maybe tell us a little bit more about using discipline with a child? Like what are some of the positive ways to discipline your child?
It may be depending on the context, I think, but the way I also see discipline is an opportunity of learning, right? And I think when going back to the mindfulness, right, oftentimes I hear parents telling me, but I was not, or my parent wasn't doing this, or my mom was doing something different. So being a mindful parent, I think it's also recognizing that I'm not in that space anymore, or I'm not my mom, or I'm not my dad. And knowing that we can try to do something different to connect with our child. So I think definitely something along the lines, and I tell this a lot of my parents as well. First of all, connecting, right? Because it's a way of connecting and the redirect. And I think this is where we can integrate part of our emotional brain, where we feel really reactive, perhaps, or really upset. So kind of helping the child cool off so that then we can be more receptive to really understand and plan something that can work well in the moment or in the next 10 minutes, right? So it seems like we're really worked up, something really big is happening. There is this anger or the scary feeling or the sadness, and it's just, it's just kind of getting in the way right now of doing such and such. And then even kind of negotiating with them, kind of problem solving together. When can we do it? So it seems like we can do it now, or we can do this. And if the child seems a little not ready or kind of still resistant, just keep navigating with them, right? So then will you tell me, when can we do it? And I think also with the tone of their voice, it's a way of inviting them that even though they did something kind of major, you're not judging them. You're not shaming them for that feeling. But certain things they still need to get done, right? So like, how can we do it together? Or show me that you are ready to do such and such, right? Once the body is calm and is more receptive to really take that information in.
Right. Yeah. And what would you say to parents who kind of are totally new to this mindful parenting? They don't really know much about it. What are the very first few things that they could do in their home or teachers in their classroom to kind of bring that kind of sense of connection and sense of calm to their classroom or home?
I think it's inviting reflection. I think also I will invite them and encourage them to trust the process. Makes me think of almost like being blindfolded, right? And you're telling me to practice mindfulness because it's probably so new for them, right? So there could be a little hesitation, there could be a little scary feeling. So I think I definitely want to invite them to kind of listen attentively what's happening internally. Like what is this feeling that I'm sensing? What is this sensation? And I think ultimately it's allowing some of that openness to try it out. If I don't try it and practice it, then I will not know the benefits and the effects, the positive effects in me as a parent, as a professional, but also in the kid, right? So definitely I will invite them and encourage them to try, almost like taking a little jump and a little risk, stepping out of our comfort zone because it could be different. And also, maintaining that positive attitude that it could be something beneficial for both of them, and doing something even different for them as they're starting something new and new connections in their own brain as parents, but also for their children.
Yeah. Exactly. If you don't start, you never know, right? But what about, I'm sure you have many parents or I know teachers are really overwhelmed these days as well. Once if people say, they just don't have time to learn mindfulness or practice mindfulness, can you maybe talk about how beneficial is learning this practice so that it would make it worthwhile for maybe these people to try it out?
I feel like some of the benefits of practicing mindfulness is an opportunity to soothe our own nervous system. The more we practice, even just taking a deep breath and just sigh it out, it's almost like it's just like letting go, just releasing things that I no longer need and they're no longer beneficial for me. In that way, it's almost like I see it as a cascade of wellness internally, because I'm also able to regulate my internal body, and it makes me also be more healthy in the long run. So that means I'm going to be able to manage, my stress in a different level, be more mindful even on the foods or the amount of food that I'm eating. Because oftentimes when we are having a big emotion, we resort to something that's automatic in our brain, and we don't see how impactful in a negative way it could be for our own health. Right. And then they also will notice a difference in the way that their children are connecting with them, or that the parent is connecting with their child. The children will notice a difference already. I remember from the workshops that I conducted with parents and kids, sometimes I ask the kids, so, we've been doing these classes for this many weeks, and what are you noticing different in your mom or your dad? They're not yelling as much. Right. So I think, parents practicing something new, they will see that immediately, the benefits in their interactions with their family. Right. And even just the way that we handle life just on a daily basis, even just driving, sometimes waiting in line, or waiting for a package to arrive. So you can definitely see like a ripple effect
Right.
how it's definitely impacting not only in yourself, in your relationship with your spouse or your partner, but also with your children, because that's also how the relationship continues, right? We want to be mindful in the way that we relate, and that is with connection and relationship, and being connected, and knowing that I feel safe, I feel trust, and somebody's seeing me, and I feel stable, in communicating what I need.
Yeah, I love all those points. I think it's so important that everyone in the house feels seen and able to express what they're thinking. And I love what you said about the children noticing, because I think preschool children are very good at noticing things very quickly, aren't they? And seeing those even small shifts in behavior. They're very perceptive. So what advice, even parents who are practicing this and trying, sometimes we all, miss the boat, and we say something we regret, we act in a way that we wish we could take back. So what do you say to those parents who kind of beat themselves up afterwards? And what would you say, how should they handle that situation with their child?
I think a few pieces here. I think it's important to, even though if we're beating ourselves, perhaps, or feel like we failed our children and we feel guilty, just recognizing the feeling, definitely just sitting with that feeling a little bit, knowing that it's okay. Why? Because we are still learning. No matter if I'm 20 something, 30 something, 40 something year old adult parent, that I don't have everything perfect. I'm not a perfect person. There's still growth in myself. And I think this is the beauty about neuroplasticity that we're learning, right? That we can make new connections. We can expand ourselves in new ways. So definitely honoring that had to happen in order for me to recognize what are areas I still need to work on, and what areas I still need to practice. And that means there's still room to practice, right? Just like I know oftentimes use this metaphor of learning how to ride a bicycle.
Right.
It's not an easy thing. We have to balance and coordinate all this body and the eyes, and I fall, but then here I go back again. And then it becomes really smooth, and I flow with putting my hands on the handle, right?
Yeah.
So I think definitely honoring the moment and that feeling, and recognizing that it's part of my learning as in my developmental parenting journey.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is to repair with our children what happened, because oftentimes we might be like just consumed by that rage or that madness or that scary feeling, and we don't address it and we just keep going. But we might be missing something super important. So I think even if we failed our child, or we screamed, or we said something inappropriate or that hurt them, going back and repairing that. And then, I know that hurt you and I made a mistake because I did such and such. I'm also learning, as I'm going in this, because parents they don't come out of the hospital with a manual saying, this is everything that you need to know about so-and-so, code, whatever, wherever, right? So I think it's really important to repair and find this joy interaction in that dance, so that they feel like they are strengthening that relationship too, and that they both feel safe, in this trusted relationship.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And we get so busy, and we just want to move on. And really important to kind of repair that or acknowledge it and things. So, Karla, just before we finish today, do you have any last advice that you want to share with the teachers or preschool parents watching that might help them with their young children?
Well, I definitely feel like play, dance, really don't underestimate the power of play. I think play is something super, super extremely important that we nowadays don't give as much emphasis, especially in the schools. I see it from the experience working in some of the schools. There is so much emphasis on the academics, the curriculum, yes, and I feel that for the teachers feeling pressure on deadlines and whatnot. But I think it's important to find moments of joy and playfulness and stillness, and just kind of let loose of the deadlines and just really finding this true connection. The more that we spend time playing outdoors with messy stuff, getting our fingers dirty, our feet on the ground, are opportunities to strengthening our motor system and therefore our relationship as well. And all of that is the foundation for any other learning. And especially because thinking of everything that we learn in school, right? It's very upstairs brain, right? We call it. So we have to execute this. I have to pay attention to that. But if my foundation, my emotional, social, emotional foundation is unstable, then it's going to be really difficult to pay attention. So really play and dance and find this rhythm, this back and forth and this dance, because that's what it is. And just really, truly enjoy each moment, because they're priceless. We cannot go back in time, but we can, in our memory, kind of rewind and see and really recall all those joyful experiences, and so that our kids can thrive and grow as healthy and joyful and productive individuals and successful ultimately.
Wow. Thank you so much, Carla.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I totally agree about the play. I think it's so important that we keep play in preschools. It actually seems shocking to me that it's disappearing out of schools. Because, as you said, there's so much research about how kids learn from play. So, but thank you so much for sharing all your ideas and your insight. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Carla.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.